3, 2.
Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to discuss what goes on in the various committees, commissions, those kind of things in the township and in the village and out there in Leonard and Addison Township. These people make regulations and laws and ordinances that affect you out there.
And these are the people that you may have recently elected, and they appoint the commissions and committees that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you attend these meetings or not.
You should be there.
You should be
pretty
there.
Important.
And if you didn't get out and vote, well, they don't have that much room to complain.
But more than likely, they will.
I know.
This is America, and you have a right to complain, even if you
always
didn't
complain.
vote. You say,
That's the first
I complain.
right.
I didn't vote.
Isn't that the first right in the Bill of Rights? You have the right to complain?
I think it might be. I'm not
That's
sure.
right.
Yeah. Anyway, we have found over a period of time that there's quite a bit of humor to be found with
Absolutely.
politics. And if you look very carefully throughout this program, you may find a little of, the humor.
Which has to be separated, by the way, from actual fact.
Well, actual fact, I have to say there's a disclaimer.
Is there?
Yeah, in a sense that probably 30% is correct.
Oh, well, I figured we were much more accurate than that.
Well, I
At
would
least
say
40.
maybe, or 35 anyway. Hey, let's talk to about the first meeting, shall we?
Okay.
Okay, the first meeting that we're going to talk about is Township Board of Trustees. And that meeting was held November 12th.
Right, and they're meeting currently at the Vets Hall, but pretty soon...
They're going to be homeless.
No, they're not going to be homeless.
Oh.
They're going to build a new home at the Oxford Township offices on Dunlap Road, and that's where the meetings will be, probably around, I don't know, February, April, I don't know.
And that's going to be your new home. Because I don't think, well, yeah, you pay for it through taxes.
That's
I think.
right.
Yes. Okay, that's one of those humorous things, by the way, folks, if you don't get the humor.
Yeah. It's always
Okay.
a taxing situation here.
Yeah, it'll be nice, though. But anyway, the person that's in charge of the trustees, of course, is the township supervisor, who's Bill Dunn.
Right.
And Bill does a pretty great job.
Yeah, runs a tight ship there.
And this meeting was rather interesting, to say the least. There's a few incidental things that we have to get out of the way first.
Oh, well,
So we get to the meat of it, shall we?
I want a dessert.
Dessert? Okay, hold on, you'll get it. First thing they ask for is public, comment, not related to the particular agenda.
Did someone show up to make it?
Yes, there were
Wow.
a couple of people that did.
Well then.
Rose Bima, who has just been elected as a new council member for the village, she showed up.
Oh,
And she said, I want to say that the people down in the township, I'm talking about Susan McCullough, Curtis Wright, all these people, and she went on and named a whole list, Kelly and so forth, are great people. They provide a great training program for the people that were chair people, for the election.
excellent.
And also the workers.
Well, you were a chairperson at the election,
I
weren't
was.
you? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I want to keep that kind of as a stealth under the...
I see.
So anyway, she has some very good things to say, about the township and its officials. So very well done, Rose Bima. Then Kelly Myers came to the podium, or to the microphone, and she said, I want to discuss the school dormitory system for the Chinese.
What's the township got to say about that?
Well, they listened. Normally the township won't make comments, concerning, the public opportunity to speak.
Which is kind of odd. Well, I mean, the whole aspect of the dormitories is a school board issue, isn't it?
It is a school board issue. And for you folks that aren't familiar with it, Oxford High School is in the process of working with a company over in China.
Wei Ming.
What is it?
Wei Ming.
What is it?
Wei Ming.
Oh.
Get out.
Why? I don't know, Wei Ming. Okay, in China. That sounds like a Chinese name.
Well, yeah, of course it is.
Is that translated into Wei Ming? Okay. Anyway, talking about Wei Ming, this person was Wei Ming. She said, this actually is a commercial venture, and not an educational venture as such. And this building is going to be a multi-story building that's going to be located on a piece of property which is owned by the township.
And
the school
location-wise,
system.
it's right on the corner of
At the school.
Oxford Road and Ray Road.
And Ray Road, yep. And that's the intention anyway. And she said, she checked with the state of Michigan, and the state of Michigan said, if you're looking for tax money to come back to you, you know, as far as some benefit by building this building, it's going to be non-existent. But it was pointed out that the state will pay a certain amount per student, you know, that comes in. They're looking at roughly 200 students, I think.
Right. Although I heard at one point that because the property is leased, that the ongoing operation could be taxable because of that lease arrangement.
But it's a private enterprise, and that's what she objected to.
Well,
and the lease is...
But also, there are classrooms in this building, I think 4 or 5 classrooms.
Not that many, I don't think.
No, well, maybe. Anyhow.
Past one.
Anyhow, that provides a linkage to the school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how they're able to get the assistance, I think, from the state, too.
Right.
But I think their lease on this is like $1 a year or something, or you know, along that line.
Oh.
So it's not very much money. It's actually a gratuitous, you know, giveaway to this organization. And the other statement that this lady made was, by the way, this is zoned residential. And by the way, there are homes across from where this building is going to be placed. And can you say shadow with a higher building? So the residents are concerned about this. And one more point she made was, you know, the school board already signed a contract, you know, for this almost a year ago, without really delving into it in terms of what the residents thought about this.
But in sort of a post program, they're having forums to explain what this whole thing is about. I think they're having, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 forums?
Yes, I believe there are 4. They've gone through 2 of them, I think. They just had one the other night.
Okay.
And I know Dr. Skilling was at the first one. I don't think he was at the second one. I think the assistant superintendent
Well,
was
we've
there.
been sending our camera people to those forums, haven't we?
We have. And you know what? You can see those meetings by going to our website.
Absolutely. OCCTV.org, click on programs, and if it's a recent one, you'll see it right there. If not, and you have to look for it, well, everything is in reverse date order, so just go down and pick up the next date and you'll find it.
It's a good way to get the actual factual information,
That's right.
rather than second,
It's
third
verbatim, as they say.
second or third degree here. Okay. And by the way, as I'm talking about this, I have no opinion one way or the other. I know you do.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm just trying to provide the input in which this lady, you know,
I'm awestruck. You have no opinion.
but you just hold this thought, because it may come back like a boomerang and catch you later. Okay? You say, you didn't say that. Yes, you did.
Yes,
okay.
you did.
Anyway, that's the way it works. So anyway, so Kelly had her moments of fame at the podium. What was interesting is the complete trustee board sat very quiet and listened, you know, as they should do.
Now, I hope they said something besides next.
No, they just said, is there anyone else that has anyone to say? And if so, you know, let's come up to the podium. Well, there's no one else that wanted to speak about it.
But they didn't respond in any way.
No, not really. So anyway, the public hearing, they also brought up the community development funds, which is 215 community development funds. The first reading of an ordinance, number 129, which is soil erosion and sediment control. It's a
Yes.
new ordinance they're trying to implement, and I'll tell you more about that when we come back.
Sediment will settle out, won't it?
We'll settle out when we come back. Thanks.
Hi there. My name is Kathy Ritter, and I represent the American Red Cross in the Oxford and Lake Orion area. I hope you are all well and preparing for a wonderful holiday season. I wanted to share some information with you regarding the donation of blood during this busy time. Thanksgiving and Christmas are normally very hard on our blood supply. The main reason is that so many of us are busy with festivities that we just don't make the time to donate blood. Well, I'm here to ask you to please don't forget about donating blood during the holidays. It would be great to say that illness will wait until the holidays are over, but that's just not the case. There are still many people who are waiting to receive life-saving blood. So why not give the gift of life this holiday? It's the best gift you can give and the best gift to receive. Take a look at all the blood drives in the month of December. Everyone who comes to donate will receive a $10 honey baked ham coupon as a thank you for all that you do. Choose a drive that works best for you and make an appointment. You'll be so glad you did. Wishing you and your family a joyous, peaceful, and healthy holiday. See you soon.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're talking about sedimentation ordinance by the Township Board of Trustees. And it's been a long-running thing, I think, with the township that they want to keep erosion from happening, but there's really no control of it.
Oh, let's get kudzu.
Yeah, you could do that, yes.
That's been tried and failed.
Yes, and failed. But anyway, would you like to explain?
What?
I guess he
Kudzu?
wouldn't. Anyway, they're going to have a fee of $500, which is going to be placed in escrow for people that are building, you know, so that they can go in, they can check it out, and they say, hey, it's got to be higher here, it's got to be lower there, you know, whatever it takes.
Okay.
So they're going to have some control on it, and it'll be like a surety bond or something along that line, you know, for $500. Carlisle and Wortman is working on that project. They're a consulting firm.
They're the planners, aren't
Planners, yep. And Brian Ortman is the one that pretty much leads the pack, you know, for that group. Very knowledgeable guy. Does a good job. There's also an ordinance that they're trying to implement, which is a solicitation draft. And that's being put together by the township attorney, Mr. Davis. The problem that they're having is that originally they said, well, how long is it going to take to put this ordinance together? The law firm said, well, 6 hours should do it. Well, it's been 6 hours, and they just got billed for another 8 hours.
I take it that this solicitation draft is to limit solicitation,
That's true.
not increase it.
That is true.
Okay, just
some
wondered.
type of control because they've never really had one in place.
Someone must have complained.
And somebody complained. So anyway, they're going to take steps to do it, but so far they've got another bill for 8 hours from the law firm. So far they've spent over $3,090, and they really don't have anything completed yet. So they took a vote on if they should pay this 8 hours, you know, worth of billing. And they said, no, we're not going to pay it.
Costs less than that for a few, you know, nasty dogs that would bark at the solicitors.
Sue Belair, she says, hey, they said 6 hours. It's past 6 hours. They got 8 hours more, and it's not even close to getting done. They need to tell us, you know, we don't have an open bank here.
Well, there was daylight savings times. They gained an hour.
Right, yes. But anyway, Jack Curtis is reluctantly, I'll tell you what, I'll approach the law firm if somebody else wants to go with me. I'm not going alone. And,
Someone's got to have my back.
Bill Dunn says, here I am, I'll go with you. So anyway, so they're going to try to work it out. Either that or Joe Ferrari will jump in to try to get this thing resolved. When they want to find out why, you know, it's continuing the cost when the estimate was so, you know, at this level and continues to peak. Anyway, that being said, White Pines Estates, you know that little project that they're trying to build a housing development.
Where is it?
You know what? It's 5 acres of land. I'm trying to think of where it is. I don't have the address here. But anyway, White Pines Estates. They're next to Twin Lakes, if that'll help you any.
Is that next to Twin Pines? Oh, wait a minute. That's a dairy.
Yeah, right, that's a dairy. But anyway, Twin Lakes subdivision objects, of course, to this variance.
Oh.
And the way the zoning states under R2 that the lots are to be 5 acre lots, but they did have a variance a while back for Twin Lakes sub, which allowed them to build homes on 1 acre of land. That being the precedent now.
Now Twin Lakes is complaining?
No, well, they're complaining that White Pines wants to make theirs in 1/2 acre lots.
Oh, they even got a better deal.
Jack Curtis says, hey, wait a minute, when's this ever going to stop? He said, the first thing you know, they'll want a 100 by 100 foot lot. You know, and when you look at the master plan for that area, it actually shows 5 acres as a rule. That it be country was a concern that they had, that they want to keep the unique, you know, composure of the property.
Yeah, once that first domino goes down, it's all over.
Yeah, it keeps falling. Well, anyway, so make a long story short, their master plan was used as a primary gauge here, and also the input that the 1 acre property that on the Twin Lakes subdivision set a precedent.
But they had two, didn't they?
What?
Twin Lakes had more property.
Oh, they
didn't
had 1 acre Twin Lakes per lot.
and the new one wants.
Well, they want a half acre.
Oh, okay.
So, yep. So anyway, so it was in, not in agreement. Bill Dunn says, well, he said, I'm never going to approve this unless, maybe I would consider it if it was 1 acre property. But then I need to see a plan for that, an architectural plan, the seal as to what you're going to do. So Sue Ballard says, well, you can't string these people on forever. We need to know, let them know if it's not going to be approved, let them know now.
That's Sue Belair.
Belair, yeah. And she says, don't, let's not do this. And so they said, well, they're kind of under agreement there. But actually the contractor, the developer spoke up and said, well, we're willing to do whatever you want to do, if you want us to go to half acre and so forth. And so then Jack says, well, that's fine. He says you could go to 1 acre, but how are you going to break that up? How is it going to fit? How are you going to access, that property? Well, we're going to use a road that goes through, actually,
Are they
Twin
planning
Lakes.
on putting just as many houses on it?
No.
No.
And the question came up by one individual that stood up to the microphone is, why would anybody buy 40 acres of land that they want to build half acre lots in when they can look at the plan and the zoning requirements at 5 acres? Why would they buy that property and expect they're going to put a half acre?
You're assuming they did.
They did buy the property.
No, you're assuming they looked.
Yeah, right. Well, they're pretty smart people. They're out of Rochester, I think.
Oh, well then.
So they, at least they're building some properties there, in terms of housing development.
And they probably said, what can the planning commission say?
Yeah.
Well, they could say no.
What's next? Huh? So anyway, so it was turned down, actually. And the suggestion was, if you want to go further and see what you can do with 1 acre, maybe we'll be open to looking at that, but there's no guarantees.
Right.
So that's the way it was left.
Well.
Concerns were, of course, water runoff. You build these homes over there, where's the water going to run? This one lady owns a farm with about 30-some acres. And she said, every spring the water runs off the adjacent property onto into our property, and we have to pump out the basement. So she went on about that. And she says, that's not to mention the traffic that goes by there. They go by 55 mile an hour because that is the zone, or the speed zone in there. And my kids,
is this Baldwin Road or something?
Yeah, Baldwin Road, right
Okay.
off Baldwin Road. Now you finally got it. Thank you. I was looking for that
Cool.
hint. And she said when my kids were in school, they would walk along the road and the buses wouldn't pick them up, in front of my place. So they had to walk for where the bus stop was down to my home. And she said I complained to the school, and they actually came out and they did a look at. And they said, this is too dangerous. We will drop your children off, at your home. So it's a road that's, going to pick up more traffic. If they build this subdivision, they're looking at like an additional 60 cars traveling that road.
That's right.
So it'll be an interesting situation to look at. And the access road is going to go through Twin Lakes. And they said, well, we're not really too happy with that either. Because of the width of the road, and also it runs alongside part of their drainage or sewage purification
This is getting too
system.
complex. I need a
It's
map.
very complicated.
I need a map.
Yeah, right. I need a map too. I need a TUM when this was all over, I can tell you. But anyway, so it was kicked out. We'll have to see the next chapter of this story
Right.
down the line. And you folks will find out, through minutes by minute here. Not totally factual, but
No.
but pretty close.
But we'll follow these plots of land,
Great. The township did donate $14,181 from their CDBG fund to the fish pantry.
Community Development
Yep.
Block Grant.
Block grant. And also the village donated $5,000 for that too, for fish. Great organization.
Yeah.
You do a good job. And they've got a
They're
drive.
having a drive, right? Go ahead.
Not a drive-by, but a drive.
Frickin'
Okay,
crack.
and we'll tell you more about that drive-by in just a moment.
No,
when we
not a
come back.
drive-by.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
This is OCTV, Oxford Community Television, serving Oxford and Addison townships with the best in local programming. On Charter Channel 191, AT&T UVerse Channel 99, and our website, OCCTV.org. OCTV, we provide local programming that brings you closer to home.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nick.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
We're talking about drive-bys.
I hope not.
Not anymore. Anyway, about the Board of Trustees. And it was a pretty long meeting.
Yeah.
I want to go through these other two rather quickly because I still want to hit on the Village Council. It was rather interesting. Fire station bids. Bids are coming in from contractors for Pete Schultz. He says the bids are coming in lower than what he anticipated, so therefore they're going to make the basement larger than what they really had in their drawing.
Does that mean if I have a
more
budget,
storage.
I have to spend it?
No, they have more storage. They have an allocation, so they're going to use it. And yes, the answer is yes. Yes, yes, yes. So anyway, the Veterans Hall, they did talk about that too, and they did find a realtor that's going to be handling it. It's going to be Caldwell Bankers Real Estate, and they still haven't put an evaluation on the actual building, the Vets Hall building.
Although I understand that it's a two-piece arrangement
Right.
now.
Well, there's the parking area too, and of course the village made an offer to the township that for $1 per year for 99 years, they'll take over the parking lot, as a lease. The township said, Joe Ferrari said, "Hey, now wait a minute, that's an asset. We're gonna give an asset away? We need to make money on this. What's going on?
We need at least two.
Maybe $2." So they said, well. Eventually they said, well, let's have Coldwell Bankers, see if they can find some buyers for it, put an estimate on it first, of course, and see if they can find some buyers, and we'll go from there.
Well,
And so the question came up, well, wait
that
a minute
seems
now.
self-defeating.
Yeah. They said, now, wait a minute. The village, Joe said, or not Joe, but Bill Dunn said, the village is part of the township. Did you guys know this? And they said, well, yeah, it is, but, it was sold, to the township, so we need to, probably get money out of it. And the thing they didn't mention is, of course, that parking lot is very beneficial to the businesses down there.
Oh, yeah. How many spaces are there?
I think there's 28 spaces.
That's significant.
It is pretty good. 26 or 28, I think, in that neighborhood.
Wow.
So anyway, it's been turned over to Coldwell Bankers. They're going to come back. It looks like right now the village is going to be out of this thing. And I said to Joe Young, who's the village manager, I said, now on that deed, I understand that that parking lot can only be used for a parking lot. He said, that's true. And I said, and the vets money that they get from the hall, I said, that goes to Parks and Recreation for another community center. Am I right there? And he said, yeah, it's in the deed. So I said, well, then they're going to want to turn that money directly over to Davis, the
Davis.
park director,
Oh, right.
Parks and Rec. And as a matter of fact, Ron Davis stood up and he said, yeah. He said, that money should come, and we'll put together, a community building, where people can enjoy. And he said, definitely, that's the route to go, and that's the way it was intended. So they agreed with that.
Does that tie in at all to the expansion they're doing to the Township Hall?
No, it has nothing to do with that, although that was a consideration when they got into it.
Okay.
Okay, let's now talk about the Oxford Village Council, shall we? Okay.
Why, Elgin, I think you're fading out.
Oh, I am fading out, yes. Proverbial ghost.
Elgin was a member of the council.
Yes. The Village Council has a new president, and that's Sue Bassardi, or Bassardette, as she would pronounce
Who
her
also
name.
heads up the Planning Commission.
She does. And Brian Cloutier,
Who's the CEO of the library.
the director of the library, of the public library, and Maureen Helmuth, who has served before, and Rose Bima, who was an ex-clerk,
Right.
with the village, but is retired, and a new one, Tom Canis. Tom Canis, he's from the Oxford Lakes subdivision.
Right. He's also on the Planning Commission, isn't he?
He is, but that's a problem because under the requirements,
A quorum
You
can't
can't,
exist.
you can't have 3 council members serve on the planning commission, only 2. So that would be Helmuth, that would be Basardi, and now you have Kinnis. So they said, well, which
You gonna
one
draw
of us is
straws?
going to leave? And Tom Kinnis says, well, he said, I'm the newest one on the planning commission. He said, although I enjoy it, I would like to, resign from that, and I will do that. And they said,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
that solves that issue then.
I wouldn't have figured
So-
it went that way.
Yep, that's the way it went. Very admirable. No problems. They had an audit of the village, and that was Abram Gaffney that provided the audit. And some interesting things there over the last year or so. They looked at it and they said that the general fund is a little low, which we've talked about before. They need to bring it up, but it's still not in a disastrous situation, but they just
Right.
need to keep an eye on it and improve it. The one area that they said there is an improvement, interesting enough, and they project in the future there will continue to improve, is the water and sewer, because they took the initiative to do what was
Well,
necessary.
they were operating
he
at a
said.
loss before,
Yeah,
and now
right.
they're not going
Now
to be.
they're not. So that'll make a big difference in the way
Right.
their finances look. So everything looks pretty good. It's on the trend up. So hopefully the new commission will take it by the tail and do the budgets and control the expenses.
Commission?
Our council. I said commission. Well, they're kind of a commission.
Well, no, they're a council.
They're a council. Yeah.
They
they're the
appoint,
great
they
kahuna.
appoint commissions.
Yeah, they're the ones that spend all your money out there, folks, in the village. So give approval to that. And speaking of money, they had a bill of $165,000 that was approved.
Oh.
And it went through.
That's pretty good.
Yep. Let me see. West Burdick Street, truck. Very interesting.
Oh,
They
the
pack-
Jake Brake issue.
Yeah, no, not that one.
Oh, another one.
The building was packed. Looked just like sardines running upstream.
Oh.
And all the people were there to protect not changing the ordinance. The attorney for the trucking company was there, and he's all for rescinding the order, the ordinance.
Okay.
And for
I
the
wonder
reason
why.
because the gravel trucks can no longer travel through there. He wants them to change it to 70,000 pounds rather than 40,000 pounds. And it went on and on and on. Person after person said, we never had such tranquility. This is ridiculous to have to take this ordinance and do it away after exercise. Finally, after maybe about a half hour, 45 minutes, Brian Cloutier, that is one of the council members, he says, look, he said, I'm tired to death beating this subject. He said, it is an ordinance. He said, it's established as an ordinance. I have no intention of doing away with that ordinance. If there's an adjustment that needs to be done to the ordinance, so be it. But you're not going to see 70,000 pounds running up and down this street anymore. And he said, I'm just tired of it. And the residents do not want the ordinance repealed, is what he said. So he said the board finally, after discussion, agreed that they would change it somewhat to accept vehicles like snow plows, maintenance vehicles, that kind of thing.
Yeah, beyond a certain amount, I
landscaping.
have a hard time visualizing what 40 is versus 70.
Oh, and that's empty. That's an empty truck.
That's an empty truck.
Yep.
Oh.
When you load it down, it's a lot heavier, obviously.
Well, I thought it was GVW rating.
I don't know, but each axle carries.
Yeah, but if it's a GVW rating, that is the total rating of the vehicle.
It's going to be, well, the vehicle itself, but not unloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, unloaded. Nothing in it.
Oh.
They're traveling that's what that vehicle weighs.
Is it specified that it's the GVW
I don't know.
or the loaded truck?
No, it was stated very clearly that would be an unloaded truck,
Okay.
is what the attorney said. So anyway, that being said, what's coming up?
Well, what's coming up is a few meetings. On 11/18 at 7:30, the Addison Township Planning Commission is meeting. And on 11/19, we have a whole spate of meetings. At 7 o'clock, Addison Township Fire Board is meeting. At 3 o'clock, the Pollyant Trail Management Council will be meeting at the Oxford Village offices. And at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Public Library Board will be meeting. And at 6:30 that same day, choose them, folks, 6:30, Oxford Area School Board will be meeting at the Oxford Middle School. On 11/20 at 5 o'clock, the Oxford Township Ordinance Review Subcommittee will be meeting, and check on that one because sometimes they cancel. And on 4:30 on the same day, NODA will be meeting, and NODA will be meeting at the Vets Hall. And on 11/24 at 4 o'clock, the Oxford Area Cable Communication Commission, our parent organization, will be
You
meeting
got it.
at the Vets Hall.
Well, you can also catch it on OCCTV.org.
.org,
On a
programs.
computer, on your computer. Yep, on programs. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
We'll catch you next time on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.